Dear distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Sister Sr.Achieng. Sister Lucy has training in education from the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. She's a PhD candidate as well, specializing in counseling psychology. She's a lecturer at the university at Kisumu campus. Her research interests are marginalization and inclusion. Please put your hands together for Sister Lucy.
So thank you very much and most welcome for this presentation, although belated. As you can see, our title, Psychosocial Factors Influencing Enrollment in Primary Schools in Loima District, Turkana County, Kenya, co-authored by Dr. Sabina, and we have Dr. Lali from Kenyatta University, and I'm Sister Lucy, a lecturer at Kisumu campus, Catholic University. So the study was carried out in 2015 in Loima District, Turkana County, Kenya, and as you can see, observed by UNESCO 2010, there were highest enrollment rates in Latin America and Caribbean, Sub-Saharan Sub-Saharan Africa had the lowest enrollment rates in the world. So other parts of the world have been registering quite a lot of enrollment rates, but Sub-Saharan Africa registers very, very low enrollment rates. And in Africa itself, there are certain countries that already were noted by UNESCO 2010 that had the highest enrollment. But when it comes to other parts of Africa, like Kajiado, Nairobi, Mwingi, Guta, Kwale, Kisumu, Taita Taveta, Embu, there were high enrollment rates. But when it came to Turkana, according to that report, the enrollment rates were very, very low for the reasons we are going to see here, because we are talking about marginalized regions and equitable education and spread of this education in these areas. The Millennium Development Goals targeted 100% pupil enrollment in schools by 2015. At this point, we are already in 2017. So we can say that are we meeting these Millennium Development Goals? And then the MDGs and the new Constitution of Kenya require that all children are in school by 2015. And yet marginalized areas are still realizing very, very low enrollment, and a lot of these students are out of school. They are not enrolled in schools. So the Kenya Vision 2030 also reiterates the call for provision of education for Kenyans in marginalized communities, and particularly the communities that this paper is presenting this afternoon. And this is in Government of Kenya 207. The working paper number 4 of 2005 stated that Rift Valley province in Kenya had the highest enrollment. That is the other part of Rift Valley, except Turkana and Northeastern, which reported the lowest enrollment rates in the region. And this excludes a lot of these children who are supposed to be enrolled in schools in the education system. And then we go on and say the Constitution requires the states to take affirmative action so that marginalized groups can access equal education opportunities. This is according to CUEA 2011. Then Pratley 2009 cited an alarming educational situation where never-ending disasters, conflicts, banditry attacks in the recent past. We have heard of Baringo and Turkana, which has become almost a common trend. And these are very stressful events that are prevailing in the schools in this region, and hence compromising enrollment of students within these areas. Population and Development Review 2008 stated that in Turkana, education completion rate was at 3%, and the dropout rate was at 94%. So we can already see the kind of inclusion in education situation in these areas. Many children are being left out of school, and therefore equal distribution of education is really compromised in these areas. What is the statement of the problem? Now, globally, governments and educational institutions are continually pressed to ensure equitable educational opportunity for all. But is it for all in these areas that are marginalized? Is it for all in Turkana and specifically in Loima district? So whatever is being experienced there is that enrollment situations are really threatened by insecurity, and the education situation is actually wanting. This is according to Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, KIPRA 2009. The pastoral communities move on foot to new areas in search of life essentials, which lead to school dropout for primary school going children, resulting to worrying enrollment situations, which actually should be arrested. And at this point, as we are talking, so much is going on, and the government really needs to come in full swing to arrest the situation there. Due to these other inequalities like poverty, ethnic conflict, insecurity, Turkana remains left behind in progress towards education for all. Because if we are talking about education for all, and then we also have Vision 2030 that really reiterates the same, something must be done within this area. In 2009, WHO, that is World Health Organization, noted that the escalating food crisis worsened school enrollment in Loima district. And this is a worrying trend that calls for attention, and it has been there over time. Loima district is just bordering Karamoja, and there's quite a lot of insecurity issues around that area where people children keep running out of school for security purposes to find safety in other areas. So that is the research problem. So the research question, the study was guided by the following questions. What are the in-school psychosocial factors influencing raw enrollment in Loima district of Turkana County? What are the out-of-school social factors? And then to what extent do learners' perception towards education affect enrollment in primary schools in Loima district? And finally, what has the government done to curb enrollment situation in Loima district of Turkana County? Theoretical framework. The study was guided by Abraham Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs. We know that this one is actually motivation theory, and from this theory, students or children as such require quite a lot of things in order to be included within the school, the schools and the institutions. Without proper feeding, without proper sleep, without proper places where they can stay, without proper security and safety, these people may not be able to completely engage into education. And that marked our theoretical framework. Let's go to the next. Conceptual framework we divided into in-school factors, that is the independent variable in school factors, learners' perception, out-of-school psychosocial factors, and of course the independent variable, that is the low enrollment or the enrollment situation that is experienced within those areas and particularly in the schools. Next one. Research methodology. The research adopted mixed method paradigm. The population comprised of children from 9 primary schools in Loima district in Turkana County, 8 teachers within these schools, the teachers, the parents, other key informants, education officers. Since the area has only one education officer, it's a vast area, but we don't have a lot of resource persons, so we only had one education officer. Out of 157,201 respondents, 12% of these were taken to participate in the study, and the area Turkana district was chosen due to its marginalization status, and of course being in arid and semi-arid lands where education has remained considerably low and exclusive. So cluster sampling, purposive sampling, random sampling, and convenience sampling were used for various categories of participants. Data collection was done using questionnaires, interview guides, document analysis, particularly to find out how many are in, how many are out, and then the performance situation, completion, and dropout rates. Then for analysis purposes, data was grouped into schools, edited, coded, and entered into SPSS spreadsheets for analysis. Then descriptive statistics was utilized in data analysis, leading to results, presentation in charts, percentages, and graphs. Then qualitative data was coded and analyzed into themes for which conclusions were made. The findings. Just the table shows demographic information, and you can see from age 0 to 6 years we had only 1%. So that means that enrollment situation for very low or younger children is still very, very low. So children are not enrolled in schools in this area when they are young, they are mature enough. Most of them by 10 years, that's when you find them in standard 1 due to other traditional and other reasons that were found in the field. Then 7 to 12 years we had that, and of course looking at gender, the males were quite many as compared to the females, and the reasons were as a result of cultural practices that are taking place over in that area where children are actually already dowry is paid by the age of 6. So by the time they are growing, somebody or whoever has already booked these children is paying dowry, is continuing to pay dowry, and can take this child at any time. So most of these schools had very, very few girls, but the boys were the majority. Then demographic information of parents, teachers, head teachers, AEO, and key informants. We had number of respondents for males and females were there. And then of course, if we look at 40% for gender, males, and as far as parents were concerned, then teachers we had 75% males and 25% females. Again, it comes to what happens depending on how the male education and the female education is looked at in that particular place, and therefore certain groups again are marginalized. Let's go to the next. So in school, psychosocial factors influencing enrollment, mostly within the school system. We found that insecurity was not only out, but was also experienced within the schools. So the schools were always very alert and scared. Anytime the bandits would come in, scare the children off, even the teachers are killed. Some schools, we find that in certain schools, the head teacher, who was the only TSC teacher, and the deputy head teacher were killed. And in the end, all the students ran to various places without specific places to go to, and therefore really compromising enrollment situations in these schools. Then out of school factors, there were quite a lot of factors we looked at. That was family relationship and support, poverty, poor nutrition as a result of continuous drought and hunger, and then we had insecurity, which is really rampant in that area, banditry, raids, and then cultural factors, and of course lack of role models for education in the community. And then enrollment and dropout rates as experienced. You can see the dropout rates were quite high, the newcomers also quite high. So we had very few newcomers, but very many dropping out as a result of insecurity and conflict in that region. Then there are quite a lot of government strategies that were put in place: free primary education, feeding program, low-cost boarding schools, and particularly the mobile school, subsidized secondary education, then supplements on uniform provision and sanitary towels, assistance from NGOs. We have quite a lot of NGOs in that area. Community parent contribution to school projects. Many of them bring animals to be able to maintain their children in the school. Let's go to the next. So most of the findings, from the findings, the respondents felt that a lot more needed to be done, especially in the improvement of enrollment and full inclusion of marginalized communities in education. There's a lot the government is doing, but there's still more that need to be done to really stress and emphasize enrollment situations and increasing the number of schools in this region so that so many students are reached, because there are certain vast areas that do not even have schools. So students have to go very far looking for these schools and walking even as far as 10 kilometers to reach the nearest primary school, and hence the need for low-cost boarding schools. And finally, as conclusion, based on these findings, some of the psychosocial factors that were seen were long traumatizing distances to schools, which were found to be very unsafe for these people as a result of insecurity and inadequate provision of food in schools, poor parental support for education. Many of them opted for their children to go out and read rather than staying in school. Then communities and parents' perception towards education was found to be negative due to the fear of their children's insecurity. And then the study concluded that existing government strategies like school feeding program, free primary education, low-cost boarding schools should be intensified in that region. And so the study then recommended quite a lot of issues that could be looked at, particularly increasing mobile schools in this region so that they can reach as many students as possible, particularly when they have to move from their homes, since many of them are pastoralists, and also when they have to move from their homes as a result of insecurity. Finally, the study suggests that other studies could be done on the impact of education and job placement in the public service for Turkana households, and then the impact of school feeding program on people's access to and completion of formal education in Loima district could be carried to enhance enrollment situation in Turkana and especially Loima district. Thank you.